Can you describe Triloka a little more?
Triloka?
Yeah.
Yeah, Triloka. Triloka just means the three worlds. It means basically the middle world, the earthly plane, the hellish plane, and the heavenly plane. Yeah, this is universal. Every serious culture pretty much agrees with this idea of the cosmos, at least spiritually. That you have the earthly plane, in which, of course, we have essentially what we know of here, individuals who have physical bodies, who can tend to be either good or bad. You know, human beings have the ability to be in their nature, either hellish or heavenly. You know, either asuric or daivic. You know, but then you have hellish realms, in which things are just very bad, and you have several different kinds of hellish realms. Patalas. You have these several different hellish realms. They differ in that some are just hellish in that there is simply suffering, but some of them are hellish in that they're actually quite advanced, but the individuals who live there are demonic in nature. So there are some hellish realms that technologically are much more advanced than what we have on Earth. You know, many of, you know, not to sound new agey, but this is true. You know, this is absolutely true. Not all, but several of the UFOs who people see come from these hellish realms. Not all of them. Mm-hmm. But the so-called greys and reptilians specifically come from hellish realms. You know, they have very advanced technology, but very demonic technology. They're the people who, you know, they're the ones who capture people and do horrible experiments on them. Then finally, there are the heavenly realms, the realms of the devas. They also visit us sometimes. They also sometimes appear in what are called UFOs. Of course, they're not, because in this case, these are not mechanical vehicles. You know, they are actually very, very subtle vehicles. So they use the opposite form of technology from the demonic beings. You know, they, rather than using a lot of metal and very mechanistic sort of technology, the devas use very subtle mantric technology, among other types of subtle technologies. But those are the three realms.
It all exists within material.
Yes, yeah. This is all within each material universe. So in our universe, for example, all of which is really a material universe, within the material realm, you have these three planes: hellish, and then earthly plane, middle plane, and then the heavenly plane.
And is that reflected in the first line in the Gayatri mantra?
Gayatri mantra, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, except except for the hellish planes. Those aren't mentioned because we don't want to go to hellish planes. So it begins from the earth on up. Yeah, and of course it would be inauspicious and without meaning to mention the hellish planes. Yeah.
You wouldn't invite the light to the hellish planes.
No. No.
So if you say Triloka, that's like saying the material realm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of materiality.
The entire universe, yes. The entire universe. Yeah, Loka is just one realm. Sometimes it's translated as planet. But Loka can mean either literally one planet, or it can mean a realm of several different planets.
It just means location.
Yeah.
Location could be the spot or everywhere.
Yeah. So for here, there are several terms. Manusya Loka is one. The middle earth, not to sound like Lord of the Rings, but yes, this is, the earthly realm. And this is not the only planet like this. This is not the only planet like this. There are several, many actually, planets in which there are human-like beings. Some a little bit less advanced, some a little bit more advanced. So again, not to get into ufology too much, but the Nordics, for example, are Manushas. They are human beings, but they're more advanced than us. You've heard of the Nordic aliens. There are different kinds of aliens. There are the Greys, the reptilians. There are the Nordics. The Nordics are human beings, but they're definitely more advanced than us, both spiritually, but also technologically, in the good sense of technology. They're almost in between us and the Devas.
The aliens have the same dilemma we do. They think any technology or tool that they possess, it's a matter of what they do with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Fundamentally, when you look at any intelligent being, they face the same issues that we do. Even asuras. See, this is the thing. Regardless of what sort of being you're talking about, there are always exceptions. So we have seen throughout the Shastra that there have been asuras who have been good. And then conversely, we have seen that there have been a few devas who made mistakes. Like Indra, for example, is the most famous of them. He made many mistakes, and the greatest of which was he offended Krishna. He made a very big mistake 5,200 years ago. It's interesting. We could talk about this forever, but it's interesting how you can directly parallel what is in the scripture with what happens historically in reality, because they are really non-different. Even scholars have noticed this, that, scholars will say, meaning Indologists, it's so interesting that 5,000 years, 4,000 years ago, it used to be that Indra seemed to be the main god, and now no one pays attention to Indra anymore. Now he's been supplanted by Krishna, and this just shows how, this whole pantheon is fluid and blah, 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 blah. And of course, what they try to do is show the relativism of religion, that religion is meaningless. They just worship one god one day, another god the next day. No. The scriptures explain why this is the case if you take the scriptures seriously. At one time, yes, Indra was more prominent as the king of heaven, as the warrior god, as the god of thunder, lightning, etc. But it explains in the 10th skanda of the Bhagavata Purana that he offended Krishna. They were about the cow folk of Vrindavana were going to do a yearly puja to Indra, and Krishna told them, no, don't bother with that. Indra's of no importance. And to make a long story short, Indra became offended, and he decided, let me attack Vrindavana. Foolish. He didn't understand that the source of his very being was there in the form of Krishna. And he decided, let me use my little power and storm upon them. And what did Krishna do? Everyone ran to Krishna. What do we do? What do we do? And yes, to show who he was. Not even using his full hand, and keep in mind he was a child at the time. To show the world. He didn't use his full hand, didn't even use his strongest finger. He used his pinky to lift a mountain. And tell everyone, come under the mountain and take shelter. And he held that mountain for days. And finally Indra came to his senses. oh, who is this? And he did come to Krishna and offer his obeisances and relinquish and beg for forgiveness. But it was at that point historically that Indra was of no importance anymore. So, even the devas can make mistakes. And even an asura can sometimes do something good. So there are always exceptions. So they face the same dilemma of what? Will. Free will. They have their nature, their genetic makeup that they have to contend with. Yes, that might make it easier or harder. We all have our genetic makeup that we have to contend with. We have our karma. We have so many factors that we have to contend with when it comes to making the right decisions, but ultimately it is up to us to make the right decisions, regardless of who we are. This is why another one of these types of beings who really are the reptilians, the Nagas. The Nagas are always fascinating because their temperament is to be cold-blooded, and not just physically and genetically, but also morally. So the Nagas can be quite demonic. If you meet a Naga, you don't know if the Naga is going to be kind to you or eat you. Because they're reptiles, they're reptilians, they're massive, they're 12 feet tall, and they are powerful, and they're shapeshifters. If you meet a Naga and you meet the wrong Naga, you're finished. But at the same time, you will meet some Nagas who will be like sages in their wisdom and their kindness. Why? Because with the Nagas, they have, again, their genetic inheritance, which makes them cold-blooded and almost psychopathic in that really it's their nature to not have empathy. But the Buddha, 2,600 years ago, converted them all to Dharma. So many of them at least try, despite themselves, despite what their genes are telling them to do. They try to be good and ethical, sometimes. So again, that strength of will. Their genes are telling them, when they meet a human, oh, that's my food. But then, again, depending on the individual Naga, they'll think to themselves, no, but I must follow Dharma. And I will spare this person, and if anything, try to be kind to them. It's amazing. This is fascinating. What a rich, complexity, beautiful complexity that there is in this world. And Dharma orders it all. Orders it all. Literally. Takes it and makes it into a divine order in which it all makes sense and it all works together for the greater whole. With each individual within that whole having the freedom and the ability to express who they are, good or bad. Hopefully for the good. That's Dharma. That's the natural way of the cosmos.